Well, good afternoon, John.
Oh, good afternoon, Ben. Didn't see you there.
How you doing this afternoon, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Ben.
I'm well rested. I had one of the longest sleeps in my life after yesterday. I woke up. You know this. I woke up after 9 a.m.
Yes. Well deserved.
I would say so. We streamed for 7 hours total yesterday. I say we.
Yeah.
You came on for most of it. I'll give you that.
Whoa. Oh, hold on. You can't count the first hour, which you set a stream off, then went back to bed.
I didn't go back to bed.
Yeah, okay. You can't count the first hour in which you set a stream off, then went back to lie on the couch.
Back to lie on the couch and watch YouTube.
Well, what you choose to do while lying on the couch is entirely up to you, old boy.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. What happens in your own home stays in your own home. In the chat here, Militant Mushroom says, "How do? Yesterday was groovy."
Yesterday was groovy. What did we do yesterday?
Yeah. Well,
what did we do that was different?
Well, we did a lot that was different.
We spoke about the midterms a lot, but
we did.
There was actually, old boy, let me have a quick look and see if I can just find something that I was perusing a second ago.
Okay.
And wondering why it was trending.
What is trending? Tell me.
Why are you shouting? Right, second, wait a second. What was trending? Where's it gone? The things disappear. They trend and then disappear so quickly, don't they?
They do. I'm getting a notice on YouTube, and so anybody watching on YouTube, please let me know. It says my audio bitrate for the stream is 0, meaning you could be silent. Is it silent where you are, or can you hear us? That's the question I want to know right now, because this restream thing is absolutely doing my head in, because we only use the free version because it's like 30-40 quid a month if you use their paid version,
which we don't get.
We don't get any money. We don't get any money. But it's doing my head in, to be honest. It's like, oh, Militant Mushroom says hi, Adam, and nobody seems to be answering me. So I will simply assume that it's fine and move on. All good on YT. Thank you very much.
Oh, good.
So anyway, what were you looking at? What was trending, and why do you want to know why it was trending, John?
Right. It was... Hold on. Good God. I remember thinking, I want to have a quick chat about this. Oh, that's what it is. David Walliams was trending.
Why was David Walliams trending? What's he done now?
Why would David Walliams be trending? What could he possibly have done? And apparently, he's been caught bad-mouthing one of the contestants on Britain's Got Talent.
Oh.
Or something like that, right?
Oh.
And making nasty comments about her, I think.
Right.
But it shows him in a very bad light. Now, let's think about this for a second, because you might think David Walliams is an affable, likeable chap, but he's maybe not what he purports to be, because he's had a few run-ins in the past, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, with young girls telling us things that he may or may not have done.
Yes.
You know? So he's maybe not as such a nice guy as everybody thinks he is, and maybe this is one that's going to come back and bite him in the ass. Maybe
indeed. Now, I want to thank everybody that watched actually, and maybe watching right now, either live or back, on our Rumble channel yesterday. It was by far our most successful day on that platform. So thank you very much for taking interest in what we did, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you're coming back and watching this, then don't forget to subscribe. Now we've changed the branding slightly to move it in synergy with the YouTube channel, so it's now rumble.com/c/chasing Dissent official, just like over on YouTube. But we really do appreciate the love that was shown over there in just, the clicks and the views and things like that. So I was quite astounded, in fact. We got, 500 hits, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for us, that's really good. So thank you.
Thank you.
So, John, with David
Ben.
Walliams out of the way,
Yeah.
you know what to do.
Yes, I'd like to welcome everyone to this episode 158 of Chasing Dissent Live. And where's Adam? But
Where is Adam? Well, so yeah, that is a question, John. A question that we may be asking a bit more in the future. Adam,
it might be.
where is Adam? Adam? Where the f is Adam?
Right, anyway, moving on with the list. Let's get down to business.
Let's get down to business and the world.
And the first comment of the day is actually a bit of a funny one. I pointed this out yesterday. I thought Idaho's a bit of a funny shape there, and then I thought it looks a bit like Joe Biden.
It does.
Just coming in for a sniff.
It does, look, with that extended hooter, just ready to. I mean,
I'd never noticed Joe Biden hidden in Idaho before.
Well, he's not just a native. He is Idaho. Joe Biden is Idaho. So, oh dear. When you showed this to us yesterday, and we did put it up on the stream, I was aghast. I thought it was hilarious. It was just.
You thought it was made up, didn't you? You thought I doctored it.
Yeah, I did. I did think you doctored it.
I hadn't. I still haven't. I meant to look and see what the state is above it.
Well, I'll tell you about another state. I'll tell you about another state right now. The state of Pennsylvania, John.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why the Democrats did this. Did they do this because it was just in honor to the guy? But look at this. Pennsylvania state representative re-elected despite being...
Dead.
Yeah,
so is this legal? I can't think it can be. Well, having said that, we have heard of dead people voting, so... But, is it that strange that a dead representative would get re-elected?
But remember, I think this was just symbolic, and the reason I say that is they don't take their seats. Anyone elected now doesn't take their seat in government till late January 20th, around then. But there's going to be a special runoff, isn't there, in this after the fact? So, despite the fact that he has been elected or re-elected, there is actually going to be a special runoff for his seat. After the fact, I think between now and January, so whoever wins that will actually take the seat. So I'm wondering if this was simply symbolic or in honor of him or in honor of his family, and it was probably in a part of Pennsylvania where, as Nancy Pelosi has said in the past, you could just put a D on a glass of water and it will win, right? Mm-hmm. So whether or not it's legal, well, it must have been, surely, because he was on the ballot and the election officials didn't say, no, he can't be on the ballot. Militant Mushroom says there was no time to take him off the ballot, which could be because he could have died recently, I guess.
I think he died a week ago or something.
So then yeah, no, I can see that being an argument. Yeah. But there's going to be a special runoff election to actually contest the seat going forwards. And obviously, a dead man can't take his seat in the House in January. So somebody has to.
Yes, somebody's got to take that seat, and it ain't that guy, that's for sure. So,
this tweet here from Acquiring Knowledge.
Yeah, I don't think it's not as sinister as maybe it first looks.
Right.
Because, as you've been pointing out, and you pointed out a few times on both our streams yesterday, mm-hmm. the Republicans like to get out there in person and vote.
Yeah, they do.
So they don't do a big mail-in ballot. whereas the Democrats are a bit different. A lot of them do vote by mail. Now, I'm not saying that there's nothing sinister about it, but what I'm saying is it's not something that you can take at face value and go,
no.
it's cheating, because you can't determine that from that, because
no, you can't. And the reason is, if you're going to ask this question, right, and we have to be fair, we have to be balanced. Yes, we're funny, yes, we're opinionated, but when it comes to factual things, we have to be fair and we have to be balanced. If you're going to ask this question here, can someone explain Fetterman getting 80% of the mail vote but getting absolutely destroyed in in-person voting? Then let's look to Arizona, where Kari Lake is consistently getting 74 to 76% of the in-person votes. But Katie Hobbs is getting around that in the mail-in. The same thing happens, right?
Yeah. So if that doesn't happen, right, what you need to do is you need to show us Democrats and Republican comparisons like this across all the different states.
Yeah, you're absolutely
before we
right.
can draw any kind, before we can even start to draw any kind of conclusion whether it is or isn't rigged, or whether this is a pattern or it isn't a pattern, because we would expect to see, if Democrats tend to do this, you'd expect to see it in a number of different areas, but you can't go on the strength of one election.
Yeah. Militant Mushroom says what was sinister was ballots taking over 6 hours to the 20-minute journey in Harris County, and that does sound a bit odd. Yeah,
fair point. Yep.
It does. That does sound very odd indeed, but obviously we can't conclude anything from that because we don't know what happened in those 6 hours. We don't know where they could have or could not have gone, or in fact, it could have been that they didn't take 6 hours. They were actually just sitting for 5.5 hours and ended the journey. So because we can't conclusively conclude anything from any of this. And when it comes to people making those comments, like with Fetterman and the mail-in ballots, then the boot would arguably have to be on the other foot when you do see things like Kari Lake getting 76% of the vote dumps of the in-person voting versus it's just a phenomenon, isn't it? Democrats are lazy. Right? They don't want to stand in the line. They don't want to pull the lever. Whereas Republicans they're super patriotic, a lot of them, and they go out and they pull the lever and they get the little I voted button and they enjoy it. They enjoy that sort of thing. And it's, I don't know. I don't see anything sinister in it. I just think that's the way it is. And when we see things like Florida's new rules, Florida implemented new voting rules. You had to, there's no universal mail-in voting. You had to vote in person, or
unless you had a good reason. Yeah,
unless you had a good reason. There was a sort of election police making sure everything was fair, above board, and done correctly. And if Kari Lake does take Arizona, becomes the governor of Arizona, which is still the jury's out on that one, but I think she probably will. She's going to implement the same similar election rules there, and I think when you think about it logically, even in my lifetime, you used to show up, you do your vote, and then you'd get the result before you woke up in the morning, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What has happened that can't be done anymore?
Well, see, I don't understand, because Florida can count twice the amount of votes, three times the amount of votes that Arizona's got in the space of one night, and yet Arizona are still counting. Well,
it was more like in the space of 3 or 4 hours, actually.
Well,
they did it like that. It's done. And then they had their results.
Yeah, so strange.
It is strange. There is no reason. And especially with the mail-in stuff, right? It comes in early. Count it early. Have the result ready to go. If you're going to do that.
I know. So before we move off the midterms, let's just give you a quick update.
Yeah, give us a brief rundown.
In the Senate at the moment, we have 48 seats declared for the Democrats and 49 declared for the Republicans.
Right.
You need 50 to get half of it. There's 100 seats up for election. So
yeah.
So there we go.
So Nevada looks like it's going to be a Republican win. by the looks of it.
Yeah. If Nevada goes Republican, that would give the Republicans 50 seats, which would effectively give them control.
Yes, it would. It would effectively, because obviously you've got to think about the independents as well, because it's not 50 red, 50 blue. There are 3 or 4 independent seats in there, and they will vote with their hearts, I guess, each time. But if you get 50 solid seats in your colour, you've got to think you've probably...
Yeah, well, they're going to get Alaska as well, because the Alaskan runoff is between 2 Republican candidates.
And then we have Georgia. Georgia is going to a runoff.
Georgia's on a runoff at the moment, yeah.
And Arizona is not declared yet.
No, but Arizona is very, very likely to remain Democrat in the House.
I mean, I've seen Charlie Kirk of Turning Point USA predicting now,
in the Senate.
Charlie Kirk seems to think it's going to be a straight red ticket in Arizona.
For what? The Senate?
For everything.
No. We need to. I mean, Blake Masters is a Republican candidate, right? He's sitting on 884,000 votes.
Yeah.
Right. Mark Kelly, the incumbent Democrat, is sitting on 979,000.
I can see where Charlie Kirk's coming from. Then I think he could be right.
That's 100,000 votes.
There's still 650,000 to come in, with probably about 75% of them voting Republican.
Is there really?
Yes, because they're all in person.
It says 76% of the votes have been counted. So 76% off. So 25% off a million is only 250,000.
Right. But there are...
Sorry. I digress. That's wrong. So if 76% of the votes have been counted, and we've got 2 people on 900,000 roughly, right?
Yeah, it's about 1.8.
That's 1.8 million plus another 40. So let's just say it's 1.8 million, right? So 25% of that is what?
It's about 450.
Yeah. Okay, so it's 450. So I mean, to make up 100,000 on 450, he's going to have to go some.
And I think they're going to, because all of these votes left to count are in person on the day, showed up, and the trend is as follows in Arizona. If they showed up on the day, it's over 70% Republican. That is how the trend has gone, and that's why Kari Lake is so confident she's the next governor of Arizona.
Well,
that is why we are now seeing in the night, we saw a Democratic House seat flip Republican in Arizona.
Yeah.
We've seen the Attorney General is now Republican, won in the night.
So, right, I mean, you might be right, and if they get Arizona and Nevada, then they're definitely in control of the Senate, so that would give them over 51. And then the House at the moment is sitting at 210 for the Republicans, 192 for Democrats. You need 218 for majority. The Republicans will get there. I don't think there's any doubt. Those governors have been overturned. The Nevada governor looks like he's going to become a Republican and not a Democrat.
Right.
Kari Lake, as you said, has probably got a good chance of winning in Arizona.
Yep.
Therefore, what exactly have the Republicans lost here? Because you would think, going by the commentators, that it had been a whitewash for blue.
Well, this is my question here, and what I think the problem is, is they were too confident, and they said there was going to be this massive red wave, super majorities, basically, in the House and in the Senate, but still they're going to win, at least in the House, and very likely in the Senate, majorities, which means they are in control, right?
Yeah.
So what have they lost? And this is
not a loss.
Well, this is the point that Tim Pool made, isn't it? He said, Republicans have won. Why are they acting like they've lost?
I know, it's crazy. And Tony Garrett in the chat makes a good point. He says, how hard is it to employ a team of hand counters? The argument being there's so many to count due to increased population. Well, then there's more people to do the counting, and you're right, Tony. Yeah, how hard is it?
We still do it here. I mean, if when we do elections, we have cameras, BBC cameras, in the count rooms, don't we? We can watch on the mainstream media, and there's people just going.
Yeah, and the candidates are there. I mean, you need that, because you remember during the American election, people were excluded from the count rooms.
Yeah.
And that's just not on. I mean, how are you meant to maintain some kind of, integrity and honesty when that kind of thing's happening, and then stopping the counting halfway through? It's just, the whole thing just stunk.
It really did.
Stunk like week old haddock that had been left out in the sun.
If you want free and fair elections, then let the cameras in. Let the cameras in and put it on the news like we do, right? And I'm not saying that everything in our elections is always above board, but what I'm saying is at least we have halls full of hand counters and we have cameras in there. The public can see what's going on, and I could probably turn up and go into that count as well if I wanted to. And go and take footage and the likes and roll around in my little scooter going, are you doing a good job? But in America, you can't do that.
No, you can't.
Militant Mushroom says, our mail-in voting is bent as well. And Natasha asks, what's the spanner next to my name? Well, Natasha, you made a comment yesterday during the stream and said, can I moderate my own comments? So I made you a moderator. So you can moderate everybody's comments.
Spanner. Right, shall we move on?
We shall. From Guy Verhofstadt, or Guy Verhofstadt, or the man that likes to interfere in international politics. Breaking. Russian forces leave Kherson. It confirmed this is after Kiev, Kharkiv, and Etherium, the fourth major defeat. Let's not hesitate, but increase support to those fighting for democracy.
Okay. So the actual, when you read the actual news report, it doesn't quite say that. What it's saying is the Russian military have said they've pulled back from Kherson. Right?
Yes.
And the Ukrainians are saying, well, we're not quite sure what's happening, but we're quite wary because it could be Russian misinformation. And it could be the Ruskies up to something. So, yeah, we don't know what's happening. And it's a bit early to jump on saying this is a major defeat because I don't think there was actually any conflict at that point.
I'm not so sure.
I think the Russians had just pulled back.
Right, like I say, I'm not actually sure about that. Because basically I've got so bored of it that I don't really look in on news over there anymore.
Yeah. So I think let's wait and see how this pans out. I'm not jumping either way at the moment. So I can't underestimate Russia, though. That's the problem. You just can't underestimate Russia.
No, but also, what's this one from Guy? What's Guy saying here?
Oh, well, that's right. So this is part one of two, because this one's pointing out how united Europe is.
Yeah.
And indivisible in its hopes and dreams after it tore down the Berlin Wall and Germany became reunited. And really, that was really all that became of that.
Is that Guy up on the wall there?
No, I don't.
Doing this. It kind of looks like him.
Well, anyway, even if it was, I'm not convinced this tweet has worn very well when you look at the next tweet that comes from Holland.
It says, Dutch government preparing to cancel World Economic Forum membership. We are a sovereign nation. News Punch. The Dutch government is considering proposals to cancel its membership at the World Economic Forum due to the globalist organisation's anti-democratic views. Everyone should cancel their membership to the World Economic Forum.
So the Dutch are thinking about taking that. France is still talking about Frexit. The Italians are still talking about exit or whatever they call it. So I'm not getting the same. Where is Europe united?
Well,
are they united in poverty now because of the whole situation with Russian gas and energy? So is that where we're united?
The EEC, the European Economic Community, or the EEA, European Economic Area, was a good idea, I think, as a trading bloc. And then they just
went, a trading bloc.
And that's what Britain and most of these countries signed up to. They signed up to a trading bloc to help each other's economies out after the Second World War. They didn't sign up to a political union with an unelected leadership that can make decisions for all of the countries. But it morphed into that, sort of in the early 90s is when that started happening.
Yeah.
And nobody had a choice. And it just sort of became that. So I can see the disenfranchisement. I can see the frustration, because just sort of saying, right, now we're in charge, it's not really a united Europe, is it? It's telling people what to do and forcing a united Europe. And it's more like a mirage. It's just an image. It's not real. It's a bunch of people that are angry, disenfranchised, and sick of being told what to do. And you were in France, and there were Frexit posters everywhere, weren't there?
Oh, France is incredibly nationalist.
Yeah.
They don't mention Europe at all. They're not interested in Europe.
No.
They're very much, it's France, 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 France. Everything's French.
Natasha says, I imagine a bung will be forthcoming. I don't think that the World Economic Forum has got enough money to bung countries to stay aboard. It's
especially in the current climate, because we are in a recession.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in a recession that's been perpetuated by things like the World Economic Forum, by the International Monetary Fund, by the fund, by the UN, by the governments, and in particular by the banks. So there's nothing left to give. I mean, you can only print money for so long before you start to have rampant inflation, and we're not far away. I mean, we will have inflation, and
we already have inflation.
The housing market is going to tank.
Yeah, the housing market will tank, and this is really a bad time right now to be buying a house. You want to wait. If you've got the money to buy a house, you want to wait, because
I mean, if you heard my rant yesterday, I said don't buy a house. Period.
Yeah, no, that's definitely well, it's definitely an option, but not everybody will listen to us. Not everybody will listen to you, and
they shouldn't.
No, they definitely shouldn't. But speaking of financial crisis, we can sort of segue into our next slide from BBC News. Yes, you went there, John. BBC News, because
I did.
We've got the front page of the Mirror here. Nurses forced to survive on patients' leftovers.
Well, first of all, I've got a couple of things to unpick here.
What's that?
Well, one, what were the nurses surviving on when they were spending all their time doing TikTok videos? Right? I had to say it, right? Because, people seem to have very short memories, because nurses were not overworked in the last couple of years. Generally,
some were.
Maybe some were, but generally they weren't. And I have spoken to a number of nurses who worked in COVID wards, right, and didn't have anything to do, right?
And obviously we've got some
major hospitals. Now that's from the horse's mouth. That's from them, and obviously I have to take everything into consideration. It may or may not have been an accurate statement. But that's how it was reported to me, directly from another person, face to face, right? Not on Twitter.
I heard the same.
Not on Facebook. Spoke to them face to face.
I had a trust executive tell me this face to face.
Yeah. So if they were lying to my face.
Yeah. Same with an executive of an NHS trust would be lying to my face.
So there's that to start with, right? Because don't forget what happened over the last couple of years, because there shouldn't be any amnesty here, because the acts and the things that were said were inexcusable.
Yes, they were.
They were completely inexcusable, and especially from people who are now making money on the back of it. Yeah. One of those people being Matt Hancock.
Oh,
now,
Matt Hancock.
I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail, but the man is a serving MP representing a group of people in the UK right now, except he's not, because he's sitting in a jungle cut off from communication with the rest of the world in Australia.
Yeah.
That he should be fired. He should be out. There should be a by-election going on in his constituency right bloody now, and he shouldn't be getting any money. Well, because the man's not doing his job.
He's making 400,000 for what he's doing right now, right? £400,000 for. I mean, it is entertaining. I'm not going to lie. Is it further on the list?
Yeah, it might be entertaining, but that's not the point. The point is he should not be there.
Is this further on the list, or should we just talk about it now?
Don't just talk about it now. I mean, the guy shouldn't be there.
No, he shouldn't. And do you know what? We're going to stick on this topic for a minute or two, because the campmates clearly don't want him there, right? I watched it. I watched the end of the episode where he came in last night. Him and Sean Walsh, the comedian, came in together. And Sean Walsh was just in hysterics going, I can't believe I'm stuck with Matt Hancock, right? The campmates don't want him there. Ant and Dec did nothing but take the piss out of him. And they've put him in this trial. So that's another thing I really want to hammer the media about. Clearly he's not exempt from trials, because he did one last night and he's been voted by the public to do one tonight, right? And the one he's been voted by the one he's voted by the public to do tonight is in water.
Good.
But the point is, you know, Boy George made a good point when he went to the Bush Telegraph or whatever it is, where they go and do their little confessional videos. And he cried and he said, this man stopped me from seeing my mum whilst she was in hospital. I don't want to be here with him. And I think either Boy George will snap at him or he'll just quit the show himself, unfortunately. Yeah. But what people have got to remember is, yes, the nation is going to enjoy voting Matt Hancock to do every single trial that they can, right? Every time he's up for a vote, they're going to vote for him. They're going to put him through hell. But
good.
But at the end of the day, should he even be there? And I think you're right, John. The answer is no, because first of all, the name of the show is I'm a Celebrity. Is Matt Hancock a celebrity?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether he's a celebrity or not. He just shouldn't be there because he's a serving MP. That's the beef. That's the problem. He's not doing his job just now. He can't do his job just now, and he's not representing the people that elected him. He should be kicked out, and a by-election should be held right now.
I agree. He's lost the Tory whip, but he'll get that back, right?
Yeah, but who cares about that? And the same thing should have happened to Nadine Dorris. I'm not singling out Matt Hancock. Any MP should not be allowed to do this.
Not whilst they're sitting.
No, definitely not.
If they've retired, that's a different story.
Do what they want, yeah.
Right?
Do what they want when they're retired, but not while they're sitting MP.
But he took this money, he took this £400,000, he got on a plane whilst Parliament was sitting, and he flew to Australia, and I think her name is Charlene, journalist, also in the jungle right now. She took him aside, she took him up, and she basically journalistically quizzed him as to why he was there. And he gave the textbook answers. You know, I want the public to see the real me, right? And shit like that. And she said, why?
Don't give a shit.
But she said, why are you here? And he said, because the government is stable. And she turned around and went, Rishi has only been in for 5 minutes. And he went, well, but Rishi's a good man and he's going to do a great job. And I thought, Rishi's going to be retired by... Even Ant and Dec were taking the piss last night. We're like, we'll have are we due a new Prime Minister by Christmas?
Yeah, well, you know what pissed me off a little bit was someone's put a tweet out this morning saying, just in case anyone forgets, Boy George is, because they were talking about Boy George crying over this, right? Which you've already, pointed out. And they said, just in case you forget, Boy George was the guy who chained and whipped and had a sex slave,
he is?
To a radiator. And I said, yes, he very much was, but he only did it to one person, and he's paid his debt for society.
He got 15 months.
In prison for it. Yeah.
Right.
So he's paid his debts. Where's Matt Hancock?
But my point is this, right? And okay, I can take that point about Boy George because I actually made this point last week. I said that if Boy George had done this to a woman, yeah,
he would never be there. Yeah,
he would never ever even be on the TV. He'd be cancelled for life. But because it was a man, that's it. Society looks at it differently. Oh, we can forgive him because he's... Well, no, I don't agree. But but still, that's the way the cookie has crumbled with Boy George. He's got his life back. You know, he's on The Voice. He's doing this. He's doing that. He's doing the other. He's in the jungle. He's making money left, right, and centre. But what Matt Hancock and that government did, right? Matt Hancock's name is literally on those government restrictions. He signed them. He signed them into law. He destroyed your business, John.
Yep.
He destroyed tens of thousands of small businesses. He stopped old people from seeing their families and dying alone in care homes. He made children die alone in hospitals. Children.
Yeah, he did.
Little kids.
So, and let's go back to these nurses that we were talking about.
Right.
So my second point is, and then this might sound a bit crass, right? But she's got a long way to go before she's starving.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying. She's either, maybe she's not even surviving on the leftover, maybe she's thriving on them because, you know, she's got a good 6 to 8 months of storage going on there. She wouldn't need to eat for nearly a year.
No.
I'm sorry, but you're not getting my sympathy.
I don't care. It's the TikTok comment. You're right? It's the TikTok comment. They whilst tens of thousands of people are walking around right now as cancer time bombs because they don't know they had cancer because they weren't diagnosed because all of their appointments were cancelled. These people were doing dances on TikTok, and
and I appreciate it might not have been their decision, and to for the whole thing to have happened, and they did the best in the circumstances that they had, and they looked after the patients that they had. Very few of them or whatever, but. And I appreciate that. But what I don't appreciate is, yes, if you were bored, then you could have done something else. You didn't need to do that and throw it in people's faces that were stuck inside and watching their relatives down iPads or through windows because they couldn't visit them. That's the part that gets me, and that's the part that will never be forgiven.
No, and to me...
And that's the point where the NHS... failed completely. The medical profession failed completely. Doctors failed completely, and they're still hiding away. GPs you still struggle to get a doctor's appointment.
Yeah, and I mean,
nurses failed completely at that point.
I mean,
you know what? I don't see you coming back from it.
Well, look at my situation. This is my my personal situation. I was referred to the pain clinic. They cancelled. The appointment was cancelled. They said we'll make another appointment with you, and then I got a letter through saying, "Oh no, you're signed off."
Because you never answered your phone. You had one shot. You never answered your phone, and we just cancelled it and just got on with it.
I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day, but this,
they're not interested.
The NHS is broken. It's fundamentally broken. It's not. I'm sorry. I contend that it's not underfunded.
It's not. It never has been.
I contend that they just waste the money, and I mean, I've heard once again from executives to my face that they'll give contracts for things like stud walls to the highest bidder, not the lowest bidder, because they must spend their entire budget, or else they get whatever they didn't spend removed from next year's budget.
Yes, but that's the public sector for you. That's how it works. If you underspend, you do not get applauded for it. You just get less next year.
And far too many middle managers. Cut them all. Let's move on then to Kim.com. Our good friend Kim on Twitter.
Blue tick.
Yeah, he's blue ticks, baby.
Anyway, so Russia apparently has announced that 12 more countries want to join BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, which is a trading bloc.
Which is exactly what the European Economic Area used to be.
And they're doing the same thing that European Economic Area is doing, and that they're going for a common currency that they're going to trade in.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be the US dollar.
Yeah.
So this is you watching the end of the USA.
Well, it's
starting. This is it. This is it. This is the starting.
yeah.
The end, right? Because if America doesn't have the petrodollar, and if people don't need dollars to trade with each other, then the US doesn't have an economy.
No.
That's as simple as that.
And we've said it before, and we'll say it again. The reason China has so much power in all of this is because us as the West gave all of our manufacturing to China. We gave it to them. We outsourced it to them, and they got rich off it. Right? We rely on them heavily, and India. We rely on them heavily for pretty much everything you see around you, apart from, maybe buildings, but your computers, your phones, your cameras, everything you use, your games consoles, TVs, it all comes from China. It is all outsourced to China and India.
Your jeans, your t-shirts, your trainers, your clothes, everything comes from China and India.
We gave them this power. We did it. And the destruction of the Western economic success is going to be purely because we did that. It's as simple as that. But, and I will say there is a but, you really shouldn't be trusting, any of you, Xi Jinping, because, he's going to build an economic area. What you mean he's extending his Belt and Road Initiative by stealth, and then what he's going to do is he's going to eventually do what the European Union have done, and he's going to take control.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a good thing.
No.
Don't get me wrong here.
No.
Speaking of what wasn't a good thing, let's move on to Matt Gubba's tweet here.
Let's.
And may I just say, not a blue tick.
For now.
But
$8.
Come on. Do a bit of research. Don't just pick up on the headline that's plastered all over the place. 72-year-old man jailed for serving mince pies, right? At a shooting club during the 2020 lockdown. Yeah, okay. That was the start of it.
Yes.
Right. That was the start of it. So he was pulled up for that.
Yeah.
And he may not have been jailed for that. Because that's not what he got jailed for.
No, did he get jailed for perverting the course of justice?
He got jailed for attempting to pervert the course of justice, because not only did he serve the mince pies and wine, which is fine, he then went on to try and claim at court that he didn't know which council area he lived in.
Yeah.
Right? And he thought he was in tier 2 and tier 3 and not a tier 3, which is fine, okay. Even that, I'll let him slide. Then he went to the people who run the CCTV in the shooting club.
Yes.
And they asked them to delete the footage.
He did.
And these people, and remember, who's paying these people? Not the police, him.
Yes.
But these people went, I don't know if we can do that. I tell you what, we'll just give it to the police.
We just give it to the police.
The police didn't even fucking ask for it. They just gave it to the police. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he gets done for attempting to pervert the course of justice.
Yeah, but the comments that the judge has made are terrifying.
The judge's comments are ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
In the extreme. Ridiculous in the extreme. Because the judge goes on to say that Snelling, or whatever his name was, is
anti-establishment.
He's anti-establishment, and he treated the police reprehensibly because he has no regard for them whatsoever. Now, when did either of those two things become an offence, or even something that would be taken in what's the opposite of mitigation? What is it when you aggravate?
Aggravate.
So
yeah.
when would that ever be taken as an aggravation of an offence? Is it? Are you not allowed to be anti-establishment? Are you not allowed to be,
Well,
wary of the police?
hopefully on appeal that would be brought up because, of course, right. And my suggestion is to this when it comes to the police, or not my suggestion, but my advice. is that just because somebody is wearing a uniform does not mean you automatically have to do absolutely everything that they tell you. They can and do abuse their power. They are bullies, and they can't, in this country especially, can't just tell you to do something and you go, yeah, okay. That's not how our police work. They are not your controllers. They are your servants. They don't...
And remember what the police themselves say.
What's that?
We police by consent.
Well, you know...
Well, you need to remember that.
Well, yeah, when you're continually harassing, bullying, attacking people.
Yeah.
And you know, I witnessed it with my own eyes. I witnessed them assault people repeatedly in London with my own eyes, unprovoked. And I've also been a victim of police assault myself. So...
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on to MAGA CY here on... Is that on Truth? It does appear to be on Truth. Replying to G. Rompau and Kari Lake. Truth. Matt, I have been a therapist for over 30 years. Nearly 90% of my patient load are liberals. This is true of any therapist, psychologist, or psychiatrist. Liberal politics and ideology are but a symptom of vast systemic mental illness. And before you say anything, I really do have a problem with the term liberal being co-opted like this. These people are not liberals. They have never been liberals. They are not liberal at all.
It is a bit of a sweeping statement, isn't it?
I mean, it is, and obviously one we can't confirm, but also one that I imagine could well be true, because these far leftists, as what they really are, they must have mental illness to be able to do some of the mental gymnastics that they do in order to come to the points conclusions that they do. But I'm not going to take the piss out of that. I do think genuinely a lot of these people have been brainwashed, especially through the university systems. They don't know that they are either sexist, racist, homophobic, misogynist, bigoted. They don't know that they're these things. They actually think that they're right. So...
Yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't intending to take the piss out. I think the guy's actually made what appears to be on the face of it a valid statement. We can neither confirm nor deny it because we don't have the evidence to back that up.
No.
But yeah, I mean, in first observations, one would say I tend to agree with them. Yeah.
Yeah, but well, like I say, my main gripe with that statement is the word liberal, because these people are not liberals. They don't appreciate or want people to live as they want. They don't want people to believe as they want or anything like that. They want people to submit. I think that's a good word. Submit to their worldview, their politics, and their everything. That's not liberal. There's nothing liberal about that.
Indeed.
Shall we move on to the defense of Ukraine, the gift that keeps on giving?
Look at that photograph. Right?
We got a toy plane here.
Well, apparently this is a Russian drone that broke down.
Right.
So this is a Russian drone that broke down and fell without reaching its intended target. So one. If that's a Russian drone that was meant to reach an intended target, is it meant to be armed? Because that guy's taking a very cavalier attitude to something that could be an armed bomb, right? Okay.
Yep.
Secondly, how did it just land in the back garden? If it broke down, I mean, it's not broken. There's nothing damaged.
It glided down. It glided down and landed blissfully and gracefully. That's what happened, John.
No. But to get into that garden with that wall and everything behind them, it would have to come in at some angle.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
But anyway, let's just say that happened. Okay. Right. Secondly, are the Russians really still using drones that have got CCCPs written on them? I mean, how long ago did the Soviet Union break up? When was the Berlin Wall? When did it fall? 1990 something.
I don't know. Do you think that was placed there for that photograph?
I think the whole thing is like most of the stuff that comes from Defense of Ukraine, a load of bullshit.
I honestly don't think that's a real account. I think it's a parody account that managed to get itself a legacy checkmark.
I think I don't. Yeah, I think it's got to be a parody account. It can't be real. It can't be a Ukraine government organisation. And if it is, it really, really begs the question as what the fuck is going on in Ukraine?
Well, whack the dog.
Yeah.
Whack, 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 whack the dog. It's simple. Militant Mushroom says maybe it's a Harrier drone. Maybe it came down.
yeah. I think he's being flippant.
I think so too. Speaking of
simple,
Ukraine.
Yeah, speaking of being simple, what are these clowns up to now?
Sean Penn's back in Ukraine, is he?
Yeah, third time apparently. Right? Remember, he couldn't wait to get out of it the first time. Remember?
Yeah.
He's scuttling out. Oh, the Russians are coming! The Russians are coming! I'm off because he was making a movie before the invasion started.
Yes, he was.
And he scuttled off as quickly as he could. But now, since he's realised it's actually just another movie set, he's been back twice. And this time he's thought, oh, I'll take my Oscar and give it to Zelensky.
I think that's very poignant.
It's just. Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
That's true.
But he gave it to him with conditions.
Oh.
Yeah. He said, he didn't just give it to him. He said, you can give it back once you've won. You don't see that being promoted, do you?
So he's lent him his Oscar.
He's lending him his Oscar.
So what,
he's not giving it to him.
What, it's like some kind of voodoo totem? Go and rub the head to win or something?
You tell me, but that's what he said. He said, here's my Oscar. You can have it. You can give it back once you've won.
Listen, Zelensky. Here's my offer. Here's my offer to you. This Oscar, it's bald like Putin, right? It's bald like Putin, so it's like a voodoo doll. So if what you do is you take the occasional pin and you stick it in the arm, that's gonna help you in this war. And then when you're done, I need my Putin voodoo doll back.
Yeah, he wants it back.
Jesus Christ!
I know.
So moving on to something serious.
Yeah, interesting graph from Dr. Eli David. And what he's done here is it's a graph of not the total. Well, the totals are on the right, but what it is
John,
the ratio.
Yep.
Between that and the measures. So you can see that the people who had the least measures had the lowest deaths, and the people who have the highest measures had the highest deaths.
Except for the one outlier in the middle, which is that Hungary?
Yeah.
Or is that Canada?
No, what the...
So the one that's...
No, but if you look at the black, right, the black is the ratio.
Yeah.
Right, so really, that was Hungary, but, there's a lot going on there. You don't know.
Yes, of course.
Don't know what's right and what's not, especially in some of those.
But we're also not talking just the COOF deaths here. We are talking total deaths, right?
Yeah, of course we are. Yeah.
Deaths from all causes.
Yeah.
And
this is the lowest excess mortality, right, during 2020 to 2022. So the lowest excess mortality.
Ireland.
No, the lowest excess mortality in that entire time as a ratio of your population and what's expected, right, was Sweden.
Okay.
So Sweden only had 6.7 more people die than I'm not quite sure what the scale is, but percent, 6.7% more people die than expected.
Okay.
Right. And yet, somewhere like the United States, which you would think was on top of everything, had more measures, had stronger restrictions, had a higher program of treatment and everything, they had 54.1% more people die than expected.
So
they've had very high
interesting, isn't
deaths. I mean, even look at us and compare this. Look at United Kingdom, 24.5% more people died than expected during that period.
Yeah.
But we were able to point out that those that excess mortality didn't come from respiratory disease. It came from the other end of the spectrum.
It did.
Which is, you know,
and
it's baffling.
It's not baffling to me because I'm not even going to blame that thing that other people blame. It is as simple as this: when you close off your healthcare system to heart disease, to things like cancer, to things like strokes and stuff like that, when you close it off completely, you stop people getting their chemotherapy and stuff like that. What do you think is going to happen? Well, what do you think is going to happen?
Just move on to the next slide, in which Neil Oliver's on YouTube right now explaining what's happened and the thing that we made things worse. We made things worse by doing things that we did, and
of course we
it's
did.
Exactly what we did.
We destroyed the economy. The economy is kaput, and this is nothing to do with.
Nothing.
I'm doing the press the button. You know what it is. Not that button.
Shut up already. It's science.
Not that button. That button. Right, there we go. Nothing to do with him. It's everything to do with what they did to the small businesses, large businesses, medium businesses, making you queue outside supermarkets, threatening to corral your shopping, stopping you going out and eating, and putting into what we have is a service economy. That's what's destroyed our economy. They did it. Okay?
Yeah.
The people currently in charge, Matt Hancock sitting in the jungle. But they've also destroyed the health of the nation. And do you know what? I believe it was Warwick University, and I may need to be fact-checked on this, but as far as I recall, it was Warwick University that said that at least 500,000 people would die because of the restrictions. Nothing to do with, you know what? Entirely to do with the fallout from the restrictions. And the government had this, and they went, and? Yeah. So, ultimately, essentially, what they did to us is going to kill more of us than had they not done anything. And that is a calculus that is starting to be proven the world over. And it is. We can still find no correlation between strength of restrictions and effectiveness. There's none.
None whatsoever.
None globally. Yet people like, Mr. Botley, you know who he is, but people like Mr. Botley and other alleged scientists, and I use that alleged word on purpose, they will try and tell you that that this all worked and it was all for everything. But when you actually dig down into the bare facts, the data, no. Let's move on because I don't want to talk much further about this.
Let's have a quick look at this graph provided provided by Mr. Latimer Alder on what using NASA's own observations. Yeah. So that's kind of where we are. Yeah. Okay.
We don't need to say any more about
I don't think we need to say anything about that. Right?
Okay. And they're back! The crazies are back on the motorway!
Yep. Fourth day on, they're back up there. And look at they're obviously ran out of young people and they've now got the old folk in.
Yeah, I mean, how old is this one?
I don't know. It's be rude to say.
It would be rude to ask her age, but ma'am, was it hard to climb those gantries, do you think?
Probably.
But do you know what? They keep doing this. So I have some advice for the motorways, and I have some advice for the police. Right, it involves anti-slip paint and spikes.
Yeah, or even just a gate with a lock on it.
Yeah, well, yeah, because these guys are probably not smart enough to navigate a gate with a lock on it.
Yeah.
But they're back out again. They're blocking the motorways. They're doing their thing for the climate, creating massive traffic jams, spewing fumes right out into the atmosphere there.
And she's looking good with her plastic framed glasses.
Yeah.
Her polyester outfit. Yeah.
And do you know what? This woman may well be a grandmother. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she's now going to spend Christmas remanded in custody.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So. Louise has been remanded in custody until her trial.
Yes, she has. Yeah. Louise, don't cry, Louise.
And do you know what? I will say it one more time. And every time we mention these absolute psychotic cult members here, these people behind the Twitter account are tweeting out every single day asking for people to commit crimes. They are directly inciting criminal behavior. Now, if there was any justification for a ban off Twitter, surely illegal incitement to commit crimes, direct calls for crimes, is one of them. Am I right?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
Because surely the people behind... And I know a couple of days ago they preemptively arrested a bunch of them, including Roger Hallam. He got arrested as well.
Yeah. He's a strange character.
He is a strange... Well, he's insane, but... Yeah. But the point is, these people are acting with impunity. And people say, oh, they got a blue check mark. They bought it. They spent their $8 just like my wife did. Why not? But
so, speaking of people who are insane,
yeah,
our Nicola's been at COP, and Christ knows why she's there. You know,
well, because she needs to any opportunity to go me. Yeah. I mean, she's currently the thumbnail on Rumble for this show because I can't change it. So Nicola's currently the thumbnail, but.
So, despite Scotland basically floating on a sea of gas and oil, right?
Yeah.
She just wouldn't. She wouldn't allow us to drill or take any more of it if it was an independent Scotland. So, the whole independence argument used to be built on the fact that it was Scotland's oil. So, what's happening now? I mean, is it Scotland's wind? Because you know what, we don't have enough of that crap, and all these wind turbines are going to start failing soon because they
need
seem
oil
to last. Well, they do need oil. They need it's something like 386 gallons of oil.
Year.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of oil for those gearboxes, and when they run out of oil, they catch fire.
They do.
But anyway, yeah, but yeah. So it's just this whole renewable energy thing is just not sustainable. It's just ridiculous.
No, the only way that you can get sustainable green energy is to rapidly and mass build nuclear plants.
Nuclear power.
That simple. And even the founder of Greenpeace speaks out against all of this stuff now and says,
yeah, Patrick Moore.
Yeah, we need to go nuclear, is what he says repeatedly. And he's right. He's
always been. I mean, for all he was the founder of Greenpeace, Patrick Moore's always been fairly sensible. He's taken a very pragmatic approach to things. I mean, the guy wasn't. When he saw Greenpeace becoming more and more militant, that's kind of when he stepped away because he said that's not what it's about. And similar things happen all over the place.
I'm sorry that I was preemptively laughing while you said that, but I just saw the next slide.
I just had to throw that in. Speaking about Nicholas, I don't know who did this, but wow.
The fairies are nowadays.
and Tony on the chat, you're correct. There
is correct,
a large number of trees cut down by Nicola Sturgeon's government.
Good old Nicola. I mean, these people in government are they're insane. And speaking of insane, let's go to our next.
Yeah, right. So this is what, New Hampshire or something? What the hell is going on here, right? And why are these people applauding this? These girls that are standing there, why are they applauding this? How did that even get to the final of this competition?
So I can tell you why they're applauding it. Because if they don't,
because they're all woke idiots.
No, I don't even think it's that. I think that if they don't show elation and applause, they will never, ever, ever be able to enter one of these things again. Right? It's fear. It's fear. There is an orthodoxy now. We are not anti anybody being anything they want to be, right? You wanna walk around and call yourself a woman? You go right ahead. I don't care.
Apparently, that's a teenager.
Yeah, this is a young man, isn't it? Well, yeah. It was a young man, and this young man now walks around calling himself a woman, and that's absolutely fine, right? You can do that, but when this happens. This is, these sorts of things are historically for females, for women. And I know this is a touchy subject, I really do, but it's like the Leah Thomas situation, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's taking something away from young women. And it is taking something away from young women. And then these same young women, a lot of them, this is why I say, let's go back to the far left ideology, mental gymnastics to believe the things they believe. Because they will scream about the patriarchy all of the time. The patriarchy this, the patriarchy that, men need to be taken down, this, that, the other. But then they will applaud Leah Thomas. It doesn't make any sense. You have to do some mental gymnastics in order to get there.
I'm an old dude, right? And really, I don't get it, because why would anyone... I mean, you hear people talking about they want equality, right? Now, equality basically means equal, right?
Yeah.
But men and women aren't equal. They've never been equal. In fact, the attraction of being either a man or a woman is that you're not equal to the opposite sex.
Yeah.
And why would anyone strive for equality? Because each is different, and each has different needs and requirements and strengths and weaknesses. So why would you ever want to be equal?
I mean, why don't we just celebrate people for what they are?
Exactly.
This is
madness.
This is my contention. Why do and once again, this is not anti anyone or anti anything. If you want to live how you choose, you go right ahead and live how you choose. That's none of our business. It really isn't. But when you start lobbying governments to police how people think, how people speak, and how people want to view you and define you, I think you've crossed a line. I do. I think you've crossed a line. Because, yes, your rights, they exist, but your rights end where mine begin. And when you start imposing on my ability to think and speak and say what I want, then you are imposing on my rights. And you can't make the argument that me saying something, that is not going to actually affect you in any way, negatively. It's not going to stop you doing this. It's not going to stop you doing that. It's not going to hurt or harm you. Is imposing on your rights. Now, I am happy to call a quote unquote trans woman a trans woman. Right? I'm quite happy to do that. I'm quite happy to call them a trans woman. But what I'm not happy to do is have somebody scream at me, you must say I am this, that, or I am a real woman. No, I don't have to do anything. Right? But I will choose to do something to be nice to you if you politely speak to me. It's as simple as that. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at the next slide.
But
so I think we have effectively, we probably jumped the shark there. and then just to be equal, the sharks are now jumping us. Except it didn't quite make it, did it?
No.
Right? And the thing that gets me is this happened in New Zealand. So Mako shark jumps out water, lands on boat, okay, thrashing around for ages. Apparently it did get off eventually, right? But you're not going to nail that, because that would chomp your leg off. That's a big shark. It's not a giant shark, but it's a big shark. But what I want to know is, did he have to make use of the toilet roll that's judiciously placed on the dashboard on the boat?
I would say almost definitely.
Classic.
I think we need to, and I'm going to say this on air, I think we need to do a little stinger, a little video snippet for our section when we go into things from the New York Post, right?
Yeah.
The New York,
okay.
The New York Post needs its own little stinger, because, oh my God, this newspaper is the gift that keeps on giving, and it will continue to give, I think, until the day we die. So, New York Post, we are going to make a dedicated stinger just for you. And when we do shows where we feature content from you, which is most shows, I'm not going to lie, we will play it just for you. Now, if you want to contact John about partnering with his channel, feel free.
Indeed.
And
that brings us to the close of proceedings for the list.
It does indeed. And that brings us to the close of proceedings, essentially, for the show. John, if they would like to support your little channel here, what can they do?
they can go to patreon.com/chasing dissent, or our preferred medium is, as seen on screen at the moment, kofi.com/chasing dissent. That's Kofi, ko-fi.com/chasing dissent.
And if you want to get perks like the after party, which will be returning in a new format, then make sure that you are subscribed to the Discord server. That's free. You can go and subscribe there for free.
Yeah.
And that is where where everything is going to happen. So you'll get access to the after party. We can do things like actually play things like mini golf together on there, can't we, John?
Yes, we can.
And we can have
Fortnite.
I don't know if we can play Fortnite on the after party, but we are playing a lot of Fortnite lately.
No, you are.
What do you think I'm doing directly after the show? Adam, get in the lobby. But where is Adam?
I don't know. Where is Adam?
He just posted the Discord server in the chat there. John, I am queuing up the outro.
And I would like to thank you one and all for attending this episode 158 of Chasing Dissent Live. Where's Adam?
Where's Adam?
Good day.
That's all we've got time for this evening, so it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Stop playing with my bust!
Good night, everybody.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy.
You're a what?
A pianist!
Mwah! Good night, everybody.
You have been a delightful audience to talk. Good night. Thank you.
Oh, my bottom hurts. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Tim Bob.
Oh, I did love that hamster so. I took it into bed with me every night, you know.
Good night, everybody.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have to go now. I've been standing here for a very long time. I think the end of the show must have come and gone.
There you go. That's our solar system.
You forgot Uranus.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening. You've been very nice to work to.
Good night, Tim Bob.
Good night, Tim Bob.